Okay guys, moving on to the next part. So we've kind of done a little bit of reliefing. I haven't finished it, I'm still kind of working on it. But the next part is going to be adding clay on. So that is one of the requirements. So one of the things that I wanted to do is I was gonna make a whole bunch of Pumera flowers, and I'm gonna add that on. So I have some little petals here, so I'm going to just kind of smush these together, and then I'll smear them out. And then I'm gonna make sure that I slip and score them on. Okay, so I'm just kind of smushing this together so I know it's going to stay. And then I've got my little stamen in the middle there. And I'm just going to use my paintbrush and make a few little details because it's a little bit harder to make the details once it's actually on the piece. Okay, so got my little Pumera. I'm going to bend it just a little bit, so it looks a little more realistic. Okay, so kind of like that. Okay, and then this little part in the back, I'm just gonna tear that off. And this is where I'm gonna slip and score. Okay, so I'm gonna get my slip here, and I'm gonna score this really, really good. And also where I'm putting it, I'm going to score really good. And I'm gonna do multiples of these, and I'm also gonna add on the Hawaiian Islands. I haven't quite decided if I want to relief them in or if I want to actually put them on. Okay. So now, just to be kind of safe that that's going to stay on, I'm going to add a little coil. If you're doing something that's a little more flat, you may not have to do that. So there's a great place right here where I can push that in. And then I'll just use one of my tools. You can use your plastic knife just to kind of smear that in and make it look all nice and neat. You could probably get a paintbrush in there and smooth it out, or again, a Q-tip, just to make it look kind of nice. And to me, like, things look weird if they're just kind of stuck on there, so I like to group them. So I'm thinking that I'm gonna do kind of like a grouping of these Pumera flowers, and maybe even a vine, you know, kind of coming out of it or something like that. The other thing that I was thinking is, again, you have to have something three-dimensional on top. So I was thinking a volcano. Okay, and here's a thought. So remember, nothing can be over an inch thick. In fact, you want everything to be about a ½ inch to even thinner, okay? So this is obviously over an inch thick. So what I have to do is I have to hollow it out, okay? So I kind of started it, but I'm gonna do a little bit more. Again, I'm trying to get everything to about a ½ inch. Some of you on your mass were definitely, you know, maybe you weren't at an inch, but you were close, and you didn't have some of your things at a ½ inch, which is what we want. We want the walls to be about a ½ inch. That's perfect. Then we know we're absolutely safe. Okay, so this is still a little thick over here. I'm gonna take a little bit more out. Okay, and then I can slip and score this on. Okay, but again, there's another issue here. So if I slip and score that on, there's actually no hole in here. Okay, doesn't go all the way through. So the air that is in there is trapped now. And so now that's going to explode off of my piece. I don't want that because that's my grade. Okay, so there's a couple things you could do. I could make a couple little holes here. So then the air would travel down and out the bottom, because remember I made some holes on the bottom. Or I could actually make this into a hole in the top there. Okay, or maybe both to be safe. And then again, I want to make sure that I slip and score everything really, really well. So I kind of like my lava flowing down, so I think I might have a little bit of the lava flowing down the side. And I'm going to smear this in so that you can't see it, and it's going to look nice and neat. And I might keep a little bit of an edge there, but I want it to look neat. Okay, so round your edges. And again, I kind of like the idea of maybe having some more lava flowing down. So maybe kind of like that. Or maybe I stick it right there. No, that looks too long. Okay, so maybe that still looks a little bit long to me. I'm gonna go a little shorter. Maybe something like that. And that I kind of like, okay? But again, I'm adding clay on, so this time I'm gonna use my toothpick so I don't have to scratch everything up. And a little bit of slip. And then I can smear that in. Okay. All right, so you can kind of see where I'm going. So I'm going to continue working on this. But again, remember, you got to have something reliefed. You want to have something added on. You want your piece to be interesting from all sides. Okay, so I shouldn't come to a side and it be all blank. That means we need to add something else. So for me, I'm going to put my Hawaiian Islands here. And make sure that anything that you add on is about a 1/2 inch thick and that the air inside of it can get out. Okay, if it can't get out, your piece is gonna explode. All right, thanks guys.